So we're preparing for Achaz B'Shana, that one time of year, that one day of the year, called Shabbos Shabbosain, the Shabbos of all Shabboses, Day of Atonement, the Yom Kippur Day. I got to share with you, perhaps some of you have heard from me before on this, but when my wife and I first came to Montreal, so we were dealing with the students on campus down at McGill University, the Chabad House. So the first year we made Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. So Yom Kippur, the students come, and well, it's the first time, our first Yom Kippur. Some of the students were new on campus. Several of them was the first time they were in the Chabad House, and I want to lighten up the atmosphere because, first of all, it's Yom Kippur, so everybody's dead serious, and they're dead serious because they're not in a familiar turf. So I wanted to lighten up the atmosphere. So I said that we only have two rules over here. One is, if you have a question, please ask. As our sages tell us, an embarrassed person doesn't learn. And if you want to learn, you need to ask a question. So don't be embarrassed. And the second I said was no smoking in the bathroom. I thought it was comical. No one else did. Everybody said, "Okay, Rabbi, no problem. For sure. We'll keep that rule. For sure, keep that rule. I don't know about the first rule. We'll keep that rule." And I tried to ease the atmosphere, but I think I only tensed it up. Well, part of it is because Yom Kippur is, it's a fast day. It's a day of atonement. What's going to be, who's going to live, who's going to be the opposite, the whole story of Yom Kippur. So, listen, I tried, but it was in the end, a meaningful experience for people. So let's get a little deeper understanding Yom Kippur. We can appreciate its meaning in our lives, and how we can have a much more meaningful holiday. So a couple of questions to begin with. One moment. So, a couple questions to begin with. One is, why does Yom Kippur come after Rosh Hashanah? You think about it, it would make more sense. It would make more sense for Yom Kippur to come first and then Rosh Hashanah. You first clean up your house, and then you celebrate the new year. It's like, a business. The CEO cleans up house, and then he starts his new year. You figure out the fiscal end of your year, what it meant, and who's, are the key players, who are the important ones, who are the people are not valuable to the corporation. Then you start your next year. Why isn't it that way? Yom Kippur first, then Rosh Hashanah. Furthermore, our sages tell us, interesting, if you recall from the Machzor, the holiday is called not Yom Kippur, but Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippurim. So Kippur means atonement in the singular. Kippurim is in the plural. So our sages tell us that there's a play on the word here. Yom Kippurim. Yom, day, ki, like Purim. It's a day like Purim. Yom Kippur is like Purim. Now, that sounds a little odd. Yom Kippur, you're fasting. Purim, you're celebrating with, with a meal and saying l'chaim on top of it. They don't seem to have any similarity between them, except that they're Jewish holidays. But that's about it. So how could there be a similarity that the Talmud calls it's a day like Purim? Furthermore, when you say to somebody, you're just like your dad. Meaning you're a smaller image of the greater image of your dad, right? So when you're saying that Yom Kippur is like Purim, it's like the son is like the dad. Yom Kippur, being the little one, is like the big one, Purim. How does that make sense? Yom Kippur is like Purim, is similar but not as, right? Meaning Purim is greater than Yom Kippur. How do we understand that? And again, this is what the Talmud is saying, making a statement. That's our second question. Third question is, on that day we make a Shechianu. We make a Shechianu, Kimanu B'Yigianu L'Zman Hazeh, thanking God that He's brought us to this time. We say a Shechianu for special occasions, when something great and important and valuable is happening. So what is the Shechianu? Why are we making the Shechianu? Now, of course, it's a holiday and God is giving us atonement and so on. But there's a deeper idea here of the Shechianu that we're celebrating. What exactly are we celebrating that we're saying the Shechianu? And finally, I'm sorry, I'm not a chazan, but kol nidre. And I'm not going to become a chazan, as you can hear. I'm not going to become a chazan. Kol nidre. Beginning of Yom Kippur. People are like, they're going to kol nidre. It's like, shaking in their boots. I mean, look at the prayer. What does it say? It speaks about vows that we have made. Not in the past. Actually, in some Machzorim, it's about the past and the future. In the Chabad, it's only about the future. And we're annulling the vows that we're making in the future. What does it mean exactly? Do we have such a low estimation on us on Yom Kippur night that we're making we're absolving our vows for the future because of, hey, we're gonna falter, so we know in advance we're gonna falter, so let's now take an absolving of the vows. And how does it make sense? It's such an important highlight of Yom Kippur. How do we understand that? So who's got all the questions? There's 4. First one, why is Rosh Hashanah come before Yom Kippur? Second, Yom Kippurim, a day like Purim. But how do we understand that it's only like it, not as good? Third, the Shechianu. What is the Shechianu particular for? What are we thanking God specifically? You need to understand. And fourthly, the Kol Nidre prayer. How do we understand it when it's about the vows that we will, not that we took, but the future? And I was like, we're almost like saying, we know you're going to fail. So, all those vows that you're going to take in the future, that you're going to be absolved from it. You're going to be absolved from it now. Doesn't sound like a very doesn't bode too well to, to humanity, or God's view on humanity, shall we say. All right, so let's understand. Let's begin with understanding a deeper what is Rosh Hashanah about, because that's why it comes first. When we understand that, then we'll put everything into place. Rabbi Wolansky, can you just shut the door here? Sorry, my fault. I should have shut it. Yeah. So, most people think that Rosh Hashanah is a day of judgment. Now it is, but that's not what it is. That is a consequence of what it is. You know what it is? It's me saying to God, God, you're my Father. God, you are my King. I want you. I want you to be my Father. I want you to be my King. Probably didn't act this past year like a son to a father, or like a child to a father, son, daughter, as a servant to a king. And I want the relationship. And why do you want the relationship? So most people, they want the relationship, as most human relationships, they want it for the benefit, right? The benefit that there is in the relationship, whether it's that the person, makes me feel good, does kind acts towards me, and lifts my spirit, whatever the case may be. For the most part, that's what most people appreciate in another person, and their bond to them, and maybe even their commitment. But that's a very surface relationship. A deeper relationship is, you're my God. I want a relationship with you. Just as like, you're my spouse, you're my child, you're my parent, you're my fellow Jew. I want a relationship. Why? Not for the benefit, not that there isn't benefits and consequences and so on, but because of the bond and the connection that there is. I once, there's a story of a friend of mine, a shliach, down south, below the 49th parallel. And he had a congregant, or someone came to his Chabad house, very wealthy individual, and got divorced and remarried after some time, whatever. And his new wife did not appreciate his son, actually his only child, and didn't want to have him a part of their lives. So one day the father calls his son into his apartment and tells him, you should know that there's a Ferrari down in the garage that's yours. And here's a wallet with $50,000 cash and 2 credit cards of $25,000 each, max per month. And I will take care of it. But I can't meet you here in this apartment again. As a matter of fact, when we will meet, I'll have to call you. The son took the wallet and threw it at his father. And he said, I don't need your money. I need a father. Most people look at God as they want the money, what God gives. Do they want a father in heaven? Do they want a father in heaven? Do they want a father? Do they want a king? Not necessarily. That's what Rosh Hashanah, the uniqueness of Rosh Hashanah, is saying. God, you're my God. You're my king. You're my father. I want you. I want the relationship. Not for the benefits, even though there are obviously great benefits because it all comes from you. That's not why, because I want you. Now that I have the relationship, that this is the core of the relationship, then Yom Kippur makes sense. Think about it, folks. when do we ever fix anything in our lives about ourselves? Well, we'll fix somebody else because, they need fixing. But me, when will I fix me? Well, if I'm afraid that if I said something not nice to somebody who I have great benefit from in business, well, I'm going to fix that only so I can have the benefit of the business, right? And then I'm not really fixing myself. I'm really just, need to do that in order to make sure I get the benefits of this relationship in business, right? For giving that by way of example. If, however, what's important is the relationship, then I will fix it because I want the relationship to be good and to be healthy. I'll fix whatever I need to fix. Because I'm interested in the relationship. I'm not interested in what I get from you. I'm interested in being connected and being in having you in my life. And therefore, fixing then is a different kind of fixing. You're going to own much more, be much more responsible for whatever you need to be responsible for as a result. A much more profound idea. Therefore, Rosh Hashanah comes first, and then comes Yom Kippur. That makes sense. That makes sense, right? With that, now we can understand the Shechianu prayer. Whoa, now when you say the Shechianu, here, what an opportunity I have that I could fix what I need to fix, mend whatever needs to be mended, and be atoned and cleansed for whatever needs to be cleansed. God's giving me that opportunity. That we could make the relationship stronger, better than ever before. That is something truly to celebrate. And therefore, deeper idea of the Shechianu prayer. This now we can understand Kol Nidre. Kol Nidre. What the vows are really saying is like this. In a relationship, we, usually take things for granted. If it's just there, we're not so aware, or not as, because it's just there. And sometimes we're we live on an autopilot on a certain way. What Kol Nidre is saying is the vows and the oaths refer to the I'm trying to catch the right word. The human condition that we're kind of almost avowed to. Our condition that we're almost avowed to, right? In other words, it's not that we made an oath. It's like an oath is sort of like, it's binding. So we have a binding autopilot way to live. We have a way that we function that is kind of my oath. Not really an oath in the sense of an oath that you took an oath. I take an oath to oblige myself to give this amount of charity or to do this kind of mitzvah, or whatever the case may be. It's more of a sense of this is the statement of who I am, in a sense of an oath. And you know what we're doing on Kol Nidre? We're nullifying it. We're saying, God, yeah, I have a nature. I have a condition that I am very much subject to. So much so that it's so almost like on the sense of an oath, a covenant that I've made. This is who I am, accept me for who I am. No, it's all nullified. That is truly, um, owning something. And I'm ready to nullify whatever was and whatever will naturally be. I am negating it. I'm nullifying it. I'm going to be able to become someone who I thought I'd never become, but I will. That's what we're seeing in Kol Nidre on a deeper, more profound level. And so that's what explains the Kol Nidre. Oops, excuse me a moment. My phone died. That's the only thing that should die in our lives. Just maybe someone has a question. And finally, why is Yom Kippur only compared to, but second to, Purim? So, all of this is a great inspiration we're speaking about, right? And these are things that we will be inspired by, God willing, on Yom Kippur. These ideas that we've spoken about. And I'm sure we will. However, that's like the 1% inspiration. But really what counts is the 99% perspiration, putting it into action. So Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, wow. We call them the days of awe. They're awesome. But why are they awesome? Not because we're awesome. In this instance, we are, but not because of this. It's because God's awesome at that time. His presence is so much more awesome. We sense him. It's more palpable and real. So big deal that you feel more connected. Big deal. You got to be thick as a brick not to be feeling connected. But on a regular Tuesday afternoon, a regular Wednesday night, that there's nothing special, and you are able to apply this, that you have to perspire for, that you have to work on, that's a much greater credit to the individual. So to feel inspired on Yom Kippur, we're not inspired. If we're not inspired in Yom Kippur, we're in trouble. And what's the inspiration? That my connection to God, right? That's what we're speaking about. But on Purim, when we're celebrating, think about it for a moment. When do you forget someone else? When do you forget God? More when you're celebrating than when you are, in pain or suffering. Pain and suffering, well, God, please help me. You're celebrating. You're not saying, God, please help me. God, I forgot you. I'm not even thinking about you. I'm enjoying life. When I need to think about you. Yeah. Purim. We're enjoying life. Saying a l'chaim, having a festive meal. Yeah, you're celebrating. And in that, you're doing it not just because it's a party, but because you're a Jew to connect to God. Through celebrating, in the celebration, that is the connection. So I always say Jews, don't take this wrong way, Jews are miserable people. They like to be miserable, right? They always have to remember miserable times and things, right? We like to be the victims often. We don't celebrate. So now you're going to celebrate. When you celebrate, remember you're celebrating because you're a Jew. Remember you're celebrating your connection to God through the eating and the drinking. You're celebrating your Jewishness that way. Your connection through that is a much more profound and difficult thing to do. Yeah, it's easy to have the good time. That's easy. It's easy to eat and drink and enjoy that. But that it should be a divine connection through that, that's more of a challenge. Suffering, that's not a challenge to connect it to the divine, because I need the divine now. Oh, how much more to fast? I can't, this well-known radio personality in Montreal. So when he was first getting into Yiddishkeit, he's now retired, but everybody knows him in Montreal. Well, very famous, well-known radio personality. So he used to, come from a traditional home, but, till he came to Chabad, he was, shall we say, Jewish observance was not the first thing in his life. In any case, so he used to go to a different synagogue before he came to us at Chabad. And, so Yom Kippur, he would say, look at his watch. And he said, oh my gosh, it's like 2 hours past. He looks at his watch and it's 2 minutes past. Excruciating. How much more suffering do we need to go through, God? It's enough. And then he came to Chabad and he said, he'd look at his watch, after 2 minutes. I say, 2 minutes? It's 2 hours past. We know how to make, a difficult time celebrative. You know why? Yom Kippur is to be celebrated because of everything we've understood here. Wow, what an opportunity to celebrate. So therefore, our Yom Kippur is like Purim. We sing, we even dance. We're happy. Well, how could you not be happy? God's giving you an opportunity to clean the slate, that you could become completely connected to Him in a angelic way. And we're like angels on that day. When we say the Shema, we say the Baruch Shem loud, not quietly like we do during the year. We wear a kittel white, showing the purity. How can we not just be in awe with joy? Like Purim. Okay, it's not exactly Purim. We're not saying L'chaim yet, till after, perhaps. But this is an amazing opportunity that we can be satiated. Chodesh HaShvi, the 7th month, which is a month of Shvi. Sheva means also satiated in Hebrew. Soiveya, Shavi, that we can be satiated with holiness, with connection to God Almighty in such a profound, deep way that it's going to carry us to the next 4 days for Sukkot, Simchas Torah, that we can carry us through the winter, carry us through the year of where the head goes, the rest of the body follows, and where Yom Kippur, the holiest day, Achaz B'Shana, Shabbos of Shabbos is observed, and needs to be observed properly, not just with fasting, but not wearing leather shoes, not anointing ourselves, not taking a shower, no intimate relations, and observing it like Shabbos, without driving, and and if it needs be that you stay home and just daven at home, whatever it is. This is our holiday that we are going to celebrate. All right. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts? Powerful teaching. Joel, Paula, Richard, Clem, Cecilia, Moish, Arye, Sandy.
Rabbi, comment. When Mashiach comes, they say Yom Kippur will be very, very happy to be no fasting.
Yeah, okay. You know, the fasting on Yom Kippur ultimately is, as the phrase goes, lahach yesem b'ra'av, to be invigorated through fasting. Food can be a deterrent. As you know, when you eat too much, especially, right? Weighs you down. Food, brings us down. This day we want to be uplifted. So we're capable on this day to be on such a level that the food is not a deterrent. Now, honestly, for me, it's not. Sometimes I get tired. I need more strength, I guess. But besides being sometimes tired, but the fasting is not holding me back. It's invigorating. So I don't have to focus on my physical, material self. I can focus in on my spiritual self and allow to be uplifted. That's our holiday. Amazing holiday. And I want to wish everybody a Gemar Chasima Tova, a good Gebenchte Yor. We should be sealed for a healthy year, for a year, a year of great success in everything that we engage in. A year of plenty, materially and spiritually, and the year that will ultimately be Plois Arenu, that the wonderment of God will be revealed. And the greatest wonderment, Mashiach now. That's what we need. Nothing less.
Amen.
All right, folks. Thank you for joining. And should be a meaningful Yom Kippur. Next week, we'll also have on Wednesday, and we'll prepare for Sukkot, God willing. Be gesund. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.